Good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Hepner, and as the Director of Student Life here at CLC, I'm excited that you've chosen to attend our annual Student Orientation Day event for all incoming students. Thank you for taking the time to join us today so that you can start your journey at CLC off on the right foot. I also want to extend a warm welcome to all the parents that have joined us today. We have an informational and exciting morning planned for you as well. The fact that you've come here today sends a clear message to all the faculty and staff that you are willing and able to learn the ins and outs of what it takes to be a successful student here at Central Lakes College, and we applaud you for your strong start. Today's event can be broken down into 4 sections. And as you look at your schedule, you'll see that soon you'll be hearing from both current students and alumni once we begin our student panel. I would encourage both students and parents to feel free to ask any questions about attending CLC during that time. After that, the students will stay here, and we ask that parents log into the parent session to learn about ways that they can support their college students. Parents, you can find the Zoom link in your email, and we'll also be posting it in the chat once it's time for the parent session to start. Next, students will learn about how to be successful here at CLC, as well as how to use all the various types of technology that will help you on your educational journey. A couple of housekeeping items. Please remember to mute yourself unless you have a question. You can also use the chat to ask questions. And you might also be interested in the awesome door prizes that we have for you today. So here's one of them. We've got Beats wireless headphones, as well as a JBL Charge 4 wireless Bluetooth speaker, and the granddaddy prize of them all, a brand new iPad. and it's a 7th generation 128 gig. It's pretty cool. We're going to be giving those out once we get into the presentation part. So I'll be dropping a registration form in the chat. And if you fill that out, it's real simple, just asks for your information. Then we'll be drawing as we go through the morning. So you'll have a good chance of winning one of those prizes. So next, I'm excited to introduce you to one of the people that makes CLC such a great place to learn. Please give your full attention to CLC President, Hera Charlier.
Thanks, Eric. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Hera, and we really are crazily excited to have you here today. I just can't explain the energy that we even feel online. So welcome to Central Lakes College. I have to tell you that for the students here, we congratulate you on making the decision to come to CLC. I promise you, you're coming to the right place. And to the supporters out there, I know we've got family and friends. I'm not sure that we can adequately tell you how important it is to have someone in your corner when you're taking a big step. And make no mistake, your students are taking a big step. So congratulations. So to the students, CLC is a special place, and we hope that you'll get a real sense for that today. But it is the right place for you. I'll tell you that whether you are studying our liberal arts programs to do some of your general education or enrolled in one of our amazing technical programs, you're in the right place. You've made the right decision. Whether you have a focused goal and you're one of those students that knows exactly where you're going to be in a few years, or whether you don't have much of a clue, you are in the right place. And whether you are super excited for Monday, there are those of you out there, or whether you're really just thinking, I just don't know, you're in the right place. We specialize here at CLC at bringing a wide variety of students together, and they come to us for all sorts of reasons, with all sorts of dreams, all sorts of barriers. And we specialize in meeting where you are and making sure that you get what you need to be successful. Our mission is that we build futures, and of course the futures we're talking about are yours, and we take it really seriously, and we are absolutely thrilled to have you here regardless of how you're feeling today. And we could not be more excited. So as Eric said, and as the slide said when you were joining us, New Student Orientation is all about starting you off on the right foot, because it is a big step into college, and college should be hard. We get this really weird impression in our society through movies and TV that there's a straight line between you graduate from high school and you get into a job. And for most people, that line is twisting and turning and sometimes has some big bumps in it. And that's okay. It's part of the journey, but you are not alone. So we want you to know that regardless of what bumps you face, you've got supporters behind you and you've got tons of resources to help you. So today, I would imagine that Eric has a program lined up where you learn about all of our services and ways to engage, and there'll be a lot of them. And I don't think there's a quiz at the end. I mean, Eric talked about giving away iPads, or an iPad, but I don't think there's going to be a quiz. Take some notes about some of the things that you think might be valuable to you. And to the supporters out there, you know your student better than anyone. So if you hear about something that you think might be really good for the person you're here supporting, just jot that down. And that way, when that person hits a bump, because they probably will, you can be there to say, I remember hearing about that online tutoring, or I remember hearing about the food pantry. And you can help channel those folks into those resources so we can all collectively be part of helping you as students meet your goals. But I'll tell you, the best resource that we have at Central Lakes College is our employees. There are 300 people at CLC who care so much about you. And what's a little bit different about this new student orientation is at this time, I'd say, look at them all around you, right? Look at them, you'd see them. But I want you to always know that they are here. You're gonna see some of them today. Every one of those 300 people is looking forward to hearing from you. I promise you, you will not find judgment. They have heard every question there could possibly be, and whether they are in person, whether they're online, whether they're on the phone, they're there to help you. They are our best resource. And I say that with such confidence because We have a pretty special culture here at Central Lakes College. We call it the culture of caring. I know that doesn't leave much to the imagination, but the truth of the matter is, to us, what it means is that we're part of a community that's bigger than ourselves, that we're here as a group of people, employees and students, to help each other, to support each other. And that has never been more important. And now that you're part of the CLC community, you're part of that structure, and we can help to find ways to move forward together. And I know that you'll feel that culture of caring, even though there won't be as many people on our campus as usual. So feel that online, reach out to people. I cannot tell you how excited they are to have you here. You know, we can't talk about caring about people if we don't talk just a bit about health and safety. And we all know that's why we are engaged in this weird Zoom format, which we've become pretty darn good at in higher education. But CLC has always been focused on health and safety because it's all about keeping everyone healthy, and that's that culture of caring. But of course, that has become a top priority for us and every college and university in the country. So in addition to things like face coverings, which you know are requiring, and you should probably receive this little handy dandy mask in the mail. They did, right, Eric? This came in the mail? Yep, he's saying yes. Sometimes I go wrong. And in addition to social distancing and screening about health before you come in, we take all of these things very seriously. And I want you to know that we will be making sure that people abide by what we know we need to do, not because we want to. Nobody really wants to, as cool as this mask is, nobody really wants to wear it. But we know it's our job to be here to help you reach your goals. And we believe this is the best way to keep you in your online courses, in your hybrid courses, in your shops and your labs. So we'll take it very seriously. We're ready to make tough decisions, even though they might be unpopular, because we care a great deal about you. So you'll feel that culture of caring in lots of ways. And even though at CLC we spent a lot of time talking about getting to know people one-on-one, you'll have to do it without seeing people's faces, which is a little weird. So we're all working on smiling with our eyes and getting to know names, and we ask you to do just the same. So as you step into this journey, you've got a lot of things on your mind, I'm sure. You're all very different. You might be concerned about courses. You might be concerned about books. You might be concerned about health. You might be wondering how you're going to connect in this weird world. And a lot of those questions will be answered today. But I want to take two things off your mind. One, you should never worry that you're going to get an extremely high quality education here. Central Lakes College is no stranger to things like online learning and hybrid and face-to-face. We've been doing these things for decades. We're good at them. And yes, have we scaled them up because of the situation we are in? Of course. But this is not new, and you are not guinea pigs. And I promise you, you're going to get an exceptional education, regardless of the delivery mode that you've chosen. And your faculty have worked so hard to make sure of that. They've worked really hard to make sure they've also built in flexibility and good communication so that if things change, they can communicate with you and make certain that you get the education you need. So don't worry about that piece. And also, I think I've said this, but it's worth saying again, don't worry about being alone. Some of you have people right there or on a computer screen with you. Give them a hug because you'll need them, but you're not alone. There are so many people here who want to hear from you. And I want to remind you that when you reach out to someone at CLC, you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. You don't have to have the best question in the world. You don't have to have analyzed the solution. If you're just struggling, you can just reach out to an advisor, a counselor, a TRIO advisor, a Radar Connect coach, your faculty, anyone you meet today, and say, I'm a new student and I'm just not sure what to do. And I promise you, they'll be there. So you are not alone. I can't tell you how happy, you probably know that we are to have you here, how excited we are to have you here. We know you're going to do extraordinarily well. We cannot wait to see many of you on campus or online. And I wish you just a wonderful year. Welcome to Central Lakes College. Thanks, Eric.
All All right, next up, we're going to hear from Campus Security Director Joy Larson and Staples PD Officer Jamie Pearson.
Good morning, everyone. Jamie, can you hear me? I don't know if we have audio from Jamie. So I will go ahead and introduce myself and get started, and we'll see if we can get him in later. My name is Joy Larson. Welcome to CLC. I come to you with 14 years of law enforcement experience, and I retired as a sergeant with the Brainerd Police Department. Now it is about 4 years ago, and I've been at CLC for 3 years as the Director of Security and Emergency Management. And I take that role very, very seriously because I want to make sure you are safe and healthy so that you can complete your education and your studies. So this year, my presentation before Student Orientation Day is a lot different than it has been in past years because I have to talk about the C word, COVID-19, and what we have done at CLC and what you're going to do at CLC to make sure we all stay healthy and can be on campus safely. So whether you're planning to come to campus or if you're going to be doing all online, I'm just going to go over a few things that we're going to do together to make sure that we all stay COVID-free, which, by the way, CLC is still COVID-free, and I think it has to do something with how seriously we're taking measures to keep everyone safe. So first of all, as you know, the governor has mandated face coverings in public. That means face coverings will be mandatory at Central Lakes College. So we ask that you use that cute little CLC mask that was mailed to you, or you can use alternative masks if you have your favorite puppy dog's face on your mask, or whatever it is, those are welcome. So I would ask that if you forget your mask, we have disposable masks available, but that you not take offense and that you cooperate if someone on our campus asks you to please put on a face covering. Secondly, everyone must screen their health screening prior to coming to campus. As you probably have seen in emails, we have a QR code that you can scan as you come onto campus that will take you to a self-assessment form. And then you answer the questions and you'll get what we are affectionately calling a green screen, a little green screen that tells you you're good to go to come onto campus. If you don't receive that green screen, there's an issue either with your health assessment or the way that you answered the questions. And we ask if you don't get a green screen, please do not come onto campus. But what's really cool about this whole process is you can do it before you come to campus. You can log onto your computer or go in through your phone and complete that as part of your morning routine. Oop, I just brushed my teeth. Now I'm going to fill out my screening form and be good for the day. So I really encourage you to do that because we don't want to create bottlenecks at our doors as you come to campus. And then finally, please remember social distancing, 6 feet apart, and the all-important hand washing, hand hygiene. You don't know how much you touch during a day. Get those hands washed and clean so we can all stay safe. Hera, during her presentation, told you should be taking some notes. So right now, I need you to grab a piece of paper and a pencil or your cell phone, whatever you want. I'm going to give you a telephone number, a very important telephone number. It is 218-828-6050. That's 218-828-6050. That is the telephone number for the security office. You may call that if you have any questions regarding COVID, regarding a negative health screening, you didn't get the green screen, or if you need any assistance from security. Let me tell you what security does on our campus. Our building hours are from 7 to 10, and we staff our security, or staff the building when it is open, and then on weekends when there are activities scheduled. Inside every classroom and in the hallways, you will find emergency procedure guides and maps. I ask you to familiarize yourself with those so that you can know how to evacuate the building in the event that it's necessary. We are a tobacco-free campus. We ask that you not use any cigarettes, e-cigarettes, or tobacco products anywhere on campus except in your enclosed personal vehicle. We will be conducting emergency evacuations and severe weather drills throughout the school year. We will let you know how it is that you would evacuate from the building through your faculty members or from monitors that are helping in the hallways for that purpose. We use ALICE, which if you've been to any high school in the state of Minnesota recently, you've probably been trained in the protocols of ALICE. I won't go into detail about them, but it is a proactive response to an active intruder in our buildings. And you'll be hearing more about that throughout the school year. Take out that piece of paper and pencil again. I need you to write down my email address. It is joy.larson, Larson, at clcmn.edu. I gave that to you because we use a system called Blackboard Connect, and it's a system that places telephone calls to your registered phone number and sends you emails to your registered email to tell you about emergency notifications from the campus. Like, we just had 5 feet of snow and it's 40 degrees below zero and we're not opening today. Well, I know you guys, most of you guys like to communicate by text message, and you don't want a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning telling you the campus is closed. So that email address that I just gave you, if you email me your cell phone number that you'd like to receive a text message at, I will make sure that that number is put into the Blackboard Connect system so that you can get text message notifications about Blackboard Connect and any emergency notifications that the college has. I'm hoping my email box is blasted with your telephone numbers. We have a safety escort service. If you don't feel safe walking to your car, say you're on campus late, just give us CLC security a call and we'll take you there. And on parking, I want to talk about parking just quickly. Parking on our campus is very tight. Maybe it won't be this year as much, but you please park only in the designated parking areas. We have handicap and we have state vehicle parking that's designated. Please do not park there. My security officers do patrol the lots, so you would prefer not to get a citation, I'm sure. So please obey the parking designations. And finally, if you have an emergency on campus, you need to call 911. We need the police, we need the police. But I ask that your second phone call be to the security department at the number I gave you. Finally, we're the lost and found. If you're missing something, come on down, visit. We'll check through our bins and see if we have it. And obviously we want to meet you. So I know some of you are smiling. You just saw my puppy dog walk through the frame, did you not? I just ask that you would come down to the security office and meet us. We'd love to meet everybody. Jamie Pearson, are you on verbally yet?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry I don't have video. It just doesn't work, and I usually deal with people in person, so this is new to me. I apologize, but just want to touch base with everyone and inform them what Staples Police Department is about. I'm Officer Jamie Pearson. I started here in 2010. I'm a school resource officer for Central Lakes College. I come out at the college several times a day, typically every day during the week. And if you guys ever need anything, that's what I'm there for. Anything happens at school, that's what I'm there for. If something goes missing or something happens, I take care of a wide variety of things at the college. A couple of things I want to talk about is just Joy talked about parking. Just make sure you're locking your vehicles and you're not leaving anything in your vehicles that's valuable. I know a couple of years ago, one person had some stuff taken out of the back of their vehicle, one of the items being a gun. Obviously not a wise decision to leave a firearm in your vehicle. We get a lot of people that come up to our area and they're hunting on our state land or whatever. Get it if you have a weapon in there, but just make sure you're locking it. I don't know if Joy wants to touch on weapons on campus. I'm sure you're not supposed to, but some people do, and just make sure that things are locked up. So that's not happening. As far as in town, I'm sure some of you are going to be living in our fine city. If you do and have issues, we're again here 24/7. College is about having fun and learning. So if you guys are having a couple people over and doing some things, just make sure you're safe about it, not out driving around. We get that you're in college. We just want everyone to be safe and no one to get hurt. So if you guys have any questions, need anything from me, I'm always around campus. We went through the college on Alice training before, so a lot of the instructors are aware of that. If any of you have questions about Alice, I can certainly enlighten some of you on them if you don't know what Alice is all about. If you need to get a hold of me, you can talk to Gail. She's the front desk lady at the college. She is the one to go through for everything. She knows everything. So if you need to get a hold of me and it's not urgent, that's a good route. Otherwise, like Joy said, call 911 if you need an officer. We're always here. And if you need to get a hold of me for something else, we have a 24-hour dispatch number that I can put out there. Being Joy had you guys write down a few things. The quickest number for our 24-hour dispatch is 1-800-794-5733, and that is Todd County Dispatch. And they'll direct you to what you need. I don't think there's much else I have to add besides that. Just drive safe, be smart, and have a good school year.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Joy. So we're going to move on to the next part of our agenda for the day, which is our student panel. So here's your opportunity to hear from current and recently graduated students. So we've got some great ones for you to hear from today. And we've got a really good moderator as well. He's a very seasoned vet as a moderator. His name is Charles Blacklance, and he's our director of TRIO Student Support Services. So I'll let them take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric. Again, I'd like to share with you, my name is Charles Blacklance. I direct TRIO programs here on college, here at Central Lakes College. And I've been on campus for probably close to 16, 17 years. And I have the opportunity to facilitate this morning's new student orientation day, student orientation panel. And what I'd like to do is point out again that, like Eric mentioned earlier, that this is the opportunity for you to hear from other students that have been around campus a few years and have the opportunity to hear from some tidbits and some fun information from them. And just to keep things moving, I would like to ask each of the panelists if they wouldn't mind briefly introducing themselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cornelius McNeil, and I've been here for 2 years so far. And my major here, I'm just getting my AA for now. But when I transfer, I do plan to go getting into some English department. And I actually stay at the CLC Parkway Apartments. It is a good place, and I recommend if you live kind of far and you have the money to pay rent, you should get an apartment there at CLC. It's a good place. It's nice. It's clean. Everybody keeps it clean. It's safe, and it's just a quick way to go to school. You know, you won't miss class. And I chose CLC just because it's kind of like it's kind of been like a family tradition. My cousins have been here. My mom has been here. She's been around here. So, and I like the Brainerd Lakes area. So it's definitely a good place to be. And I'm excited for this school year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cornelius. Anyone else like to share from the panel?
I can go. Make it simpler. Hi, everyone. My name is Shayla Makowski-Bujo. I'm actually alumni of CLC. I did the AA program while I was there, but now I'm continuing my education at SMSU in community psychology and health promotions. I chose CLC because I was a PSEO student, but I was coming here and I wanted an easy way to get my college done, but it's definitely a lot cheaper, especially now that I'm looking at tuition of SMSU. It's a lot higher than what it will ever be here at CLC. So it's a great way to get your generals done. And I actually live in Brainerd with my family. I'm very fortunate that they also live here. So.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shayla. Anyone else?
I'm actually
I'll go. Oh, actually, you go, Ashley.
Hi, so I'm actually a nurse. So I'm just currently doing my AA. So I live here in Parkway, same as Cornelius does. Yeah, it's just nice because it's like a 5-minute walk to school. You know, it's easy not to miss your classes that way. I did commute beforehand. I was PSEO for 2 years before I came here. So I commuted from Little Falls. So one of the reasons why I chose CLC was because it was so close, and then also because of the small size. It's something that I'm more used to coming from a smaller area.
Great, thank you.
All right. My name is Ben Schlegel, and I'm going to be finishing my AA degree up here as a PSEO student. The reason why I chose CLC is to like really enhance or enrich my educational experience and you know, get the edge. And it's been great. I went last year as a, you know, first year, and it has been just wonderful. The community, you know, like they say, it's a culture of caring, and that's so factual. It's so factual. It's been a great community. Everyone that I meet, it's like they care, and it's like, whoa, it's like they actually legitimately care. So yeah, I mean, if I were to give like any like advice, it would be like ask questions, because everyone actually cares. It's kind of cool. So yeah. Oh yeah, and then I'm commuting, so I don't live like by the campus.
Thank you, Ben. All right, anybody else from the panel?
Hi, my name is Brennan Hart. I'm a second-year robotics student over at the Staples campus. I commute from East Coal Lake over to Staples every day. Nice 35-minute drive. I chose CLC because the robotics technical program, it is a fantastic program. You learn a lot, and it's very good, and it's affordable. I can actually go to this program without ending up in, you know, 50K in debt. Thank God. And I plan to use that degree to, you know, just make a good paycheck and use that to live a good life. And my advice would be to engage in campus life. You'll make friends and have fun, and just overall great experience.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to share from the panel?
My name is Wade Hofus. I'm a second-year robotics student at the Staples campus. I rent a house with 7 other guys in Staples. So that's always fun. If you're renting a house with people, you'll make friends that way. I agree with Brennan. Do student life. You'll make so many friends. You'll get a good name for yourself. And if I have one advice for you, study a lot. You'll be surprised.
Great. Thank you, Wade. Anyone else there for the panel that would like
My
to
name
share?
is Katie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Katie, and I'm going to school for my AA before I transfer for cybersecurity. I'm currently living in Little Falls with my family and commuting back and forth. And I chose CLC because it was close.
Wonderful. Thank you, Katie. Is there anyone else on the panel that I'm missing that didn't have the opportunity to introduce themselves? All right. Well, why don't we get started on the questions? And again, panelists, just feel free to raise your hand, and I will be able to see you. And if you'd like to field one of these questions, okay? And just know you always have the opportunity to say, I'm not sure, or I'd just like to pass as well. So with that being said, please discuss what you have enjoyed most about being a student at CLC. Go ahead and raise your hands. Katie.
I've enjoyed doing work study. I've learned a lot working with everybody back in IT, and it's really influenced my direction in college.
Great. Thank you. Shayla?
The thing I enjoyed most about CLC was student life and student senate. It's definitely been the thing that has connected me to CLC and helped me meet so many of the great people that are actually on this panel today. And it's also helped me with my schoolwork, which is actually kind of interesting. But in the end, it made me more connected to CLC and helped me join a lot of clubs and things like that. So.
Great. Thank you, Shayla. Ashley, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, so my answer is probably about the same as Shayla's. Getting involved in student senate and student life definitely connects you more to the college. You make friends, and just having that connection makes you want to stay more. And it's just a nice way to build your resume, because there's a lot of like volunteering opportunities that we have and a lot of different things that you can be involved in.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else from the panel? All right. Cordelia.
I would like to say just the community and the people and teachers around here, everybody make it so friendly. Everybody smiles in the morning, says hi to you, say have a good day and everything like that. And I feel like if you just walk around with a smile on your face and say how you doing and making sure everyone's okay, it'll be a good school year. And that's just one thing I love about CLC. Everybody's so friendly, and we come together as a big family.
Great. All right. Anyone else that would like to share? Go ahead and jump on in.
So definitely one of the biggest things, agreeing with Cornelius, is the community. Like everyone, like just walking around the halls, it's like so friendly. Like people are so nice. And then definitely student senate. It's been so fun. Last year, like serving and volunteering and just putting in the effort to like make the community a better place has been just great. Like I totally recommend student senate. It's super fun. And I came from like no experience in anything like that and just hopped in, and the ride has been very, 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 very nice.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Go ahead, Brennan.
I have enjoyed the era of like family over at the Staples campus. You just meet a ton of great people, and the instructors are also really great. They feel more like family than instructors, which is kind of weird, but it's made for the experience.
Great, thank you, Brennan. And we certainly appreciate how you enjoy sitting close to one another. All right, anyone else? Wade, would you like to jump in?
I would agree with Brendan there. I enjoy how like my friend group, it's just a whole bunch of randomness. We don't all have the same interests, but we do at the same time. And I think that you'll be surprised at how big your friend group will grow and the diversity of it will be.
That's great. Thank you all. And you definitely are sharing some wonderful pieces of information and some valuable nuggets that hopefully all the student body here are able to maybe write down and take with them moving into the new school year. The one thing I want to keep in mind before we move on to our second question is this group of panelists here are students that, again, have been around the campus a few times, but also they are successful students. So these are students that have been able to put it all together and make themselves successful while in college. So please take this opportunity to listen up. Next question that we have for our panelists are, one thing we like to do at Central Lakes College is we like to keep it real. And one thing we do is to be very honest with our questions and any concerns that we might have. And so I want to take the opportunity to ask you all, the panelists, to be able to share or discuss what you have found to be most challenging while going to CLC. Shayla.
So for me, it was my first semester that really made it the most challenging because I was a high school student coming into college my junior year doing PSEO, and I had a lot of pride, and all throughout high school, I never needed tutoring. I never needed any help with my classes. And my first semester I came in, I was absolutely destroyed. I wasn't doing well in classes. I didn't want to go to tutoring. I didn't want to ask my teachers for help. I was so like, I need to do it myself. And I learned by next semester that that's not the way to go. And so that's actually been my hardest struggle, was to figure out that it's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to get help from tutoring. It's not embarrassing to go to tutoring either. Like, these people have been where you were in this class. And so it helped me out a lot, I'll say that. So my hardest struggle at CLC was asking for help. And please don't make the same mistake I did. Kind of messed things up for me in my first semester. But make sure to use the tutoring. Your teachers are always there to help, and they're the greatest resource ever. They want you to succeed. So make sure to utilize them.
Good point, Shayla. Anyone else like to share?
I'm gonna agree with Shayla.
Oh,
sorry
go
about
ahead,
that.
Cornelius. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Shayla. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I was the same. Graduated high school, came here fresh out of high school, too proud, to just ask for a tutor, ask for help, ask for teachers, ask questions. And once I figure out just to ask questions and get that tutoring help, I've seen improvement in my grades, actually, 2 times improvement in my grades. So don't be afraid. There's a lot of people there. There's Ready to Connect coaches. That's one of my favorite groups here. And, just they can always help you. Anybody can help you. Everyone can help you. Don't be afraid.
Great. Thank you, Cornelius. Ashley?
I think the most challenging thing for me has been managing my personal life and work and school. Just my family life can be chaotic, and then coming to school and making sure that I get everything kind of, I'm still organized and I'm still able to focus on my classes. It can be difficult sometimes. One thing that's definitely helped me is just the support of people around me at CLC. I've made quite a few good friends at CLC, and they've really been there for me when I go through difficult situations. And I know that I'm not the only one, that has maybe some family issues or just works way too much. So just know that there's people here for you, whether it be counselors or friends.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. Anyone else? Ben?
Yeah, I agree. The first semester is definitely the hardest. It was definitely the hardest for me, and like just that first year, I'd say. And like Cornelius said, like the Raider Connect coaches are super clutch, like super nice. It's so good. And what I want to say is actually for like the new students, you have to like really get to know this program called D2L, like really study it before your classes even start, because once your classes start, then like there's just going to be a whole bunch of stuff going this way and that way on there. And like if you don't know like what you're doing, it's going to be super hard like academically. So I'd say like really take like an hour, just an hour of your day or something, and like just go through everything on that D2L website. It's called like Brightspace or something. I don't know, D2L. But yeah, like that's really like big facts, like big good advice. I mean, yeah.
That's a great idea, Ben.
Great, thank you. That's awesome. Anyone else? Brennan?
The most challenging thing for me, and I know for quite a few students, is simply getting up early in the morning to get to school on time. My program meets at 8 in the morning, and I know people who have a 2-hour commute every day, and that does get quite challenging. But you just gotta keep going. Your body will adjust. Don't party too late. That's Wade knows that.
And by party, you mean with soda and crackers, right?
Correct.
I'll let
Charles,
Wade answer that.
Charles, we're getting a few questions in the chat from students.
Great.
So we had one question as it relates to high flex classes, and this might not necessarily be for our student panel to answer, but question about high flex classes and students having concerns with those and whether or not the student or the teacher chooses the learning method for that, being that that's a new thing this year. Does any of our CLC folks want to chime in on that?
Hi, I'll go ahead. This is Christina. Hi, everybody. I'm a CLC accounting and business instructor, and it provides flexibility. It actually provides flexibility for everybody, both instructors as well as students. So your instructor will determine how HighFlex is being used in your class. And that also, so I'm choosing to have HighFlex classes, and I am going to be on campus for my students, or if they're not comfortable coming to class, they can choose to join us via Zoom. So it does provide flexibility, though some instructors don't feel comfortable being on campus either. And so they might choose to deliver their HighFlex class from at home, from their home office. So you just need to connect with your instructors. I strongly encourage you to drop them an email and get in touch with them about how their HighFlex class is being delivered. Also, I do know that D2L opened up this morning, and faculty were supposed to have messages posted in D2L announcements to help let you know how their HighFlex class is being delivered. So I would encourage you to log into D2L, go to each one of your separate classes and read those announcements from your instructors to see how they're planning to deliver their HighFlex course. And if you still have questions, make sure to just communicate, as some of our students have already talked about. Connect with those instructors, ask them questions, and it makes everything so much easier.
Great, thank you, Christina. All right, so why don't we move on to the next question here? We got about 5 or 6 minutes left. And one thing that I did see out in the chat is, I think would be a fun question to hear from all of you. You may, or the answer to hear from all of you is, and some of you may have already touched on this, but somebody out in the chat had actually asked, how do you all adjust? How do you adjust to being a college student? Go ahead and jump on in.
I
Ben?
guess the way I adjusted for it was the fact that I went from high school from being a very fit and active person and having to decide when do I want to work out, when I want to have a social life. And in my experience, I learned that it's better to work out in the morning than in after classes and in the afternoon when all my friends are wanting to hang out. So if you're trying to adjust, try and work your ways around where you get all the hard stuff done in the morning and then all the fun stuff in the afternoon after classes, have some fun. Because after classes, that's when you want to relax and get your mind off of things.
Great, thank you. Ben, you had a response?
Yeah, I never ever made like a schedule for myself ever, or never wrote anything down, just sent it all the time. But coming to CLC in Brainerd, I really had to, I got this thing, it's like a planner thing, and it really helps me like write down like when the due dates are for all these big projects and when my classes are, especially when everything basically turned online. And I'd say, yeah, for me to like have that knowledge at the start would have been great. So I'd say how I adjusted was I didn't adjust at the start and it was really tough, but then I later adjusted to like, for my personal need, I needed to see physically what I have to do, when I have to do it by, and how to get those grades up, because yeah.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Anyone else? Brennan?
How I adjusted was I approached school as work. That's where you just get stuff done. It's stuff you have to do for the future. And once you get work done, that's when you can go enjoy yourself. And that's how I've always approached it.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
For me, I have to agree with Ben. If it's not in my calendar, it does not exist to me. I have actually 3 main calendars. It sounds weird, but I have like a whiteboard calendar in my room that tells me my weekly thing. If it's not on there, it's not happening that week. I have a calendar that's on my phone that's like I can see as far as I want, obviously on there, but it tells me like all the events I was supposed to go to, anytime I had Zoom meetings, things like that. Not on there, it's not happening. And then I actually started this new thing where I ordered a personal planner because it's meant for students. It has like specific areas for each class for your homework. I found out it works really well for me. And if the homework's not in there, again, it's not happening. So each person though is obviously different for me and Ben, as you can probably see. If it's not written down, we're not going to remember it. So I think it's really important that you find what works for you. For some people, putting things on their phone is what works for best for them. Some other people, they don't even need to write it down. They're going to get it all done. But I think the most important thing is that to remember that every person's different and to find your groove within the college, what's going to help you remember things. And what Wade said too, like, there's a lot of things that are going to be going on. There's going to be a lot of distractions. You're going to want to go hang out with friends rather than do homework, but make sure you actually cut out time to do homework or it's not going to happen. So make sure that you put your schooling first because your friends are always going to be there. But if you fail these classes, that's going to be a lot of money down the drain. So.
Right. All right, thank you, Shayla. We have an opportunity for one more response from the panelists as it relates to how you adjust. Would anybody like to jump in? Ashley.
I just think like adjusting, and definitely, I know we've all kind of said getting involved on campus is a major thing. But yeah, I'd say like joining clubs and joining Student Senate and that sort of thing gets you more adjusted to the people around you and it gets you more comfortable with the people around you. Otherwise, definitely I have a calendar in my phone that I'm always using. Definitely use that. It helps a lot. It's not on there, forget about it. But yeah, basically just try to get acquainted with everybody. Everyone's really friendly here, so it's easy to adjust to the people.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you all of the panelists members for taking your time and giving back to the new students and taking out part of your summer morning before classes begin. Really appreciate the info you provided. And Eric, we'll wrap it up.
Thanks, everyone. I just dropped in the chat the link for the parent session. So we're going to want to send parents to that session. If you don't have a separate device to go there, then maybe just stay here. But if you do, please go to the parent session. There's going to be some really good information for you there. And all students stay here because the next bit of the orientation is the most important. So we will get going with that here right away. So I believe first, if I've got my agenda right, we have Christina Enert is going to do a presentation for us.
All right, thanks, Eric. Good morning, guys. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here with us. I am an accounting and business faculty member here at CLC. I am starting my 10th year of teaching. I truly feel that it's even more than teaching, it's sharing a passion. And so just as myself, I know each and every other one of our faculty members and staff members here on campus, we're here for you. We are very passionate, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We love what we do and we're here for you. So we are probably just as excited, maybe even nervous for the first day of class like you guys are. So I'm going to take and share my screen today. I am going to do a little presentation on tips to help you be successful. I think our student panel did a great job on talking about how to be successful. And so I'm going to tag off of what they've talked about already and share with you some additional tips and tie in what they've really talked about. So the very first thing that I want to share with you is not to overextend yourself. This is probably, as a faculty member, this is the #1 thing that I see causes students the largest amount of failure in their academics. They think that they can go to school, work full time, have this awesome social life and do it all and be successful at doing it. However, students usually can do that for about the first couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks of class. They can do it all. They can work 40 hours. They can take 12 or more credits of class, do the homework, have fun with friends and do all that. They can do that for about a couple of weeks. But then after a while, things really start to pile up and they get bogged down. So it's very important that you not overextend yourself. To help you kind of figure out, well, what will I do to overextend myself? Am I taking on too much? We have this thing that's called the rule of 65. So if you put together, and we're going to add up a few things. So if you have that piece of paper that Joy Larson was having you take some notes down, I want you to jot down for yourself, write the rule of 65. And the very first thing I want you to write down is how many hours a week are you going to be in class? So take your schedule, your course schedule, look at how many hours you will be in class, whether you're on campus in class, whether you're in class via Zoom, or if you're online. The number of hours of class usually equals about the number of credits. So for a 3-credit class, you're going to be in class for 3 hours a week. So if you're online, you're going to be doing 3 hours of reading through the class material, getting caught up on all the announcements, posting and so forth in your D2L online course. So write down the number of hours per week you're in class. Now we're going to take and add the number of credits you're signed up for. So typically a full-time student has 12 credits or more. So we'll take 12 credits. Okay, so 12 credits times 2. Okay, so that'd be 24 credits. So hours per week in class. So if we have 12 credits roughly, that is 12 hours in class. Plus we're going to add the number of credits. So taking the number of credits you're taking and times it times 2. So if we're taking 12 credits, we're going to have the number 24. Then you need to add in how many hours a week are you going to work? Are you going to still keep working your full-time job? Maybe you're part-time, but you're putting in a good probably 30 hours. So add to this number how many hours a week you're going to work. I'm going to throw out there and use the 30. Let's say you're working 30 hours of 30 hours a week. Okay, so we have 12 hours of class, 12 hours during class a week, 24 for the value of our credits times 2, and 30 hours a week. Now let's take and add up how much commuting time. Maybe I have to drive to campus and drive back. Maybe my workplace is an hour or 2 away. Okay, so let's say that I have to commute to class. So let's say that's 2 hours. So one way, an hour one way to campus, an hour home. And I have to go to campus 3 times a week. That's 6 hours of commuting just for school. Okay. What if I work a couple days a week and it takes me an hour to get to work, or my workplace is an hour away? So I'll do 2 hours, and let's say I have to go there 2 days a week. So that's 2 hours of commuting time. So if we take and add these values up and total them up, so go ahead and total your hours up that you have. Right now, with the example I just gave, the total that comes out to be 74. Okay, here's the formula for you now, so you can see it in front of you. So that would be overextending yourself. If you think you can take 12 credits and you work 30 hours a week and you have a commute to get to and from school as well as your work site, you are going to be overextending yourself. Okay, so use this as a gauge. I can tell you, you'll be able to pull it off for a couple weeks. But then after that, the homework starts to pile up. You're getting tired and dragging at work. Your boss is maybe getting on you to work harder and maybe possibly put in some more time, more hours at work. You need to watch this. Balance your plate. Okay, so the rule is 65. This really isn't fluff. It is very dead serious on you got to be careful because you will be overextending yourself, and you're only one person. You can only be in so many places at one time. So be kind to yourself so that you can do the things that you want and do them well. Okay, rule 65, don't overextend yourself. Tip number 1 continued, another gauge. So I like these tools, you guys. These really, students like on our panel, they can attest to it. They're like, oh yeah, I thought I could handle it, no problem. I'm very good at time managing and so forth. But I think many of our students can attest to the fact that, yeah, this is real. You need to make sure and plan for time for studying. You know, many of our students talked about writing down a schedule. I think Ben was talking about write a schedule down. When are you going to study? You need to schedule that time in, otherwise it doesn't happen. Okay, just like our students talked about, if you don't write it down, it doesn't happen. Okay, let's talk about how do you know how much time to study? Okay, we talked about how to know how many hours you're going to be in class. Okay, but if you don't know, if you have a class, you're not sure how much time to allocate or allot for studying. Here's a little trick to help you know how many hours about to study. And I will say my accounting and business students, they will say this is pretty well spot on. I get confirmation of that in the feedback at the end of the semester with how much time they spend studying for this class a week. So this is pretty close to reality. So what I want you to do is take and write down your entire course schedule, which classes you have. Then I want you to tell me, how difficult will that class be for you? As an accountant, I love math classes. Math classes were always pretty easy for me. They didn't take me nearly as much time as it did to write an English paper. So I would rate a math class as maybe medium or low difficulty. And my English classes would definitely be a high difficulty class for me because it always just takes me longer to write a paper. So then we will provide the number of credits. How many credits is each one of those classes? So we'll take the credits times the number of study hours, which is based on that difficulty. So if it's a really hard class for you, we're going to put this study hours value at 3. Okay, if it's a medium difficulty course, we'll give it a 2. And if it's a low difficulty course, that'll be 1. So as you can see in this example, we have a biology class, math, psychology, English, and a PE class. Okay, so we have a difficulty level and the number of credits. Okay, multiplying that out, we take the number of credits times the difficulty level, a 3 for a really difficult class, a 2 for a medium difficult class, and a 0 if it's not a difficult class at all, or maybe there's no homework, so forth. So that is the number of hours that you need to study for that one class. Okay, so that's how many hours that you should study for each individual course you're taking. You add those up, and as you can see here, this is a pretty typical schedule. Okay, a pretty typical student, they've got about 14 credits going on. You should plan for 30 hours of studying. Most students do not realize that going to school full-time is a full-time job, and it really is. Okay, so going to school is a full-time job. So if you think you're gonna work full-time plus go to school full-time, that's like having 2 full-time jobs. So make sure that you're reasonable with what you're expecting out of yourself. Okay, so student success tip number 1, make sure to not overextend yourself. Manage your study time. Know how many hours you need in order to do a good job. And no matter what, I can tell you guys, no matter how difficult that class is, everyone is capable of being successful in it as long as they put in the hours of completing homework and studying. Okay, so that's my tip number 1 for today. Tip number 2, earn your grades. Faculty don't give grades here. We don't just give them away. We don't give A's and B's away just because we like you or we want you to have this A. We want you to earn your grades. You need to do that by attending class. Don't skip class. Attendance is huge. Showing up is so important. 80% of life is just showing up and being there. So same will go with class. 80% of your success is, do you show up? Do you participate, engage? DTW, this is something that the faculty that I work with, we have tagged, do the work. If you do the work, you're going to succeed. You'll pass the class, okay? Also, to earn your grades, make sure to ask questions. Just as all of our student panelists shared with you, ask questions. I think Cornelius and Shayla, they both talked about asking questions. We were, of course, as they've attested to, they don't always do it right away. I want you to learn from this and make sure to ask those questions right away. Okay, don't get yourself in a hole and get behind right away. Ask questions and get some help right away if you're, confused. Create study groups. I think study groups are huge and they really help you succeed. You don't, and just as President Charlier talked about right away in her opening, you need people in your corner. Academics and doing your educational journey should not be done alone. Have supporters in your boat. Okay, it is way less miserable if something is difficult or challenging to do it by yourself. Okay, it's way less miserable to have people to do it with. Okay, so having that study group, knowing it, getting to know your classmates, that is very helpful. Get to know them and support each other. Use the resources. I think you've seen in the chat some of our awesome resources you saw on some of the slides before we got started, where resources are located. Make sure to use them. We have tons of them on campus. Ask any faculty member or employee on campus and they will get you to the right place. Okay? So everything to help you be successful is here for you, but we can bring it to you, but you have to choose to use it. Okay? So my tip number 2, make sure to earn your grade using these resources. Okay? You have to use them. We can tell you about them and provide them, but if you don't use them, they're not going to be helpful. All right, tip number 3, study skills. These are huge, and usually, you guys, when we are on campus and having this new student orientation day, I would not be going through a PowerPoint slide. I'm a much more hands-on instructor, and I like to get up and do. So we would be doing this activity that would demonstrate all of these effective study skills and how we learn best, okay? So unfortunately, I can't do that fun activity via Zoom because it requires being in person, shaking, music, and all kinds of fun stuff. But just trust me on these effective study skills because they do work. You want to prioritize. Again, referencing back to our student panel, talking about those due dates, having a whiteboard, having a planner, writing stuff down. If it's not written down, you forget because your brain gets so full of information from all your different teachers, all the different moving parts of going to school. It's overwhelming, okay? So make sure to write things down, make sure to prioritize. Usually due dates are a great way to prioritize by what has to get done first, okay? To-do list, again, writing things down, that's what's gonna help you check things off and accomplish your task list. Creating a study plan, most of these we've kind of talked about. So as you can see, our students are telling you, looking back, these are the things you need to do. And so you have to be willing to use them, even if you haven't had to use them before in high school or in other areas of your life. These are really necessary in order to be successful while going to college, okay? My next one, don't fool yourself into believing you know the material. I have students who show up the day of a test all the time saying, I don't know how to, I knew this last night, I knew it when I was studying it, but I walked in and I must have test anxiety, I forgot it all. Well, I can tell you that they truly didn't know it as well as they thought they did. They knew it so long as they had their textbook open and they could look at it. They maybe close their eyes, try to test themselves or quiz themselves, and they couldn't come up with it, so they quick open their eyes and peek at the book, and then, oh yeah, I remember that, I know that, I do know it. But if you don't know it without looking in your textbook or checking your notes, you don't know it well enough to do it on the test without your textbook. Okay, so don't fool yourself into believing that you know the material. Quiz yourself, make sure that you know it with your textbook closed and your notes put away. Okay, cramming and procrastination, this facilitates that foolingness of yourself, okay? So don't cram and don't procrastinate because otherwise you're going to fool yourself that you think you know it and you really don't know it as well as you think you do, okay? Build on your strengths. Know when your good time to study is. Are you a night owl and you're wide awake at night when everybody else is sleeping, it's quiet? Use that as good study time. Don't sit there and watch Netflix and game on your gaming systems. Use that productive time to study and get your stuff done. Or if you're a morning person, maybe that 4 a.m., 5 a.m. is a great time for you. You're rested, you're wide awake, and you're ready to go. So build on your strengths. Use what you do well. All right, repetition, repeating things. The more you repeat, this is kind of like what we do in our activity if we were on campus. We repeat our name to each other over and over during this activity that I do. So the more times you hear somebody's name, or take, for example, a new term in biology class, you're going to remember it. If you need to use things such as Post-it notes, flashcards. I encourage my students all the time in accounting to use flashcards. We use flashcards to remember a lot of things. Okay, so I suggest using those and have repetition. It is helpful for remembering the things that are hard to remember or easy to forget. My next study tip, chunk it. I call it chunking. Your brain can only remember so much. No matter who we are, the human brain is only so big and has so much capacity. After that, everything goes out the back end, okay? Or right over the top. So don't try to do things that are impossible. Don't try to sit there and read a 40-page accounting chapter and think you're gonna remember all of it. It's not gonna happen. That's, again, fooling yourself, okay? So chunk it. I always tell my students, the more chunks you make, the more you're gonna remember. Because as psychology tells us, you're gonna remember beginnings and ends more often than what's in the middle, okay? What you first started talking about and what you ended with, those are the pieces you're gonna remember the most. So if you take a chapter, and let's say my 40-page accounting chapter is broken into 6 learning objectives, if you break it up and read that in 6 chunks, you're going to have 12 beginning and endings. So you're going to remember 12 times as much material as if you just sat down and read the whole 40-page chapter and have one beginning and one ending. Okay, this might seem crazy, you guys, but it works. I've had years of experience in this, and so I encourage you, change and adjust how you approach homework and reading and all of this college level material. Okay, chunk it. The more beginnings and endings that you have, the more you're going to remember and retain. Next, mnemonics. Mnemonics are huge in helping you remember. I know I use these for when I studied for my CPA exam. They work. I don't know if any of you can remember the mnemonic, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Those of you who had algebra class in high school might remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS. That is the mnemonic for the mathematical order of operations. What order do you need to do to solve a mathematical equation? Well, first you gotta do everything in the parentheses, then the exponents. So coming up with these mnemonics is very helpful to remember things. Sometimes you have to use silly ones and make up your own. I shared my business math class a mnemonic on how to remember to calculate interest. Okay, so take my business math class and I'll share that one with you. It's a pretty funny one, and actually it came from my son, who was, when he was in 7th grade, him and his friend were trying to remember a formula, the interest formula, and they came up with something, and leave it to a 7th grade boy to come up with this mnemonic. Take my business math class and I'll share that with you. Personal connections. If you can connect it to your personal life, say, oh, that's just like, you're going to remember things more, okay? Having a personal connection or relating it to something you already know helps you remember the new item, the new material, okay? We've already talked about writing things down. Writing things down is important. Taking notes are not always just necessarily so that you can look back at them. I take all kinds of notes, but I never use them again. However, taking those notes is just the process that helps me remember and retain better. When you have to write things down, it slows your brain down and you're using more of your senses, your 5 senses, and you're gonna remember it more. Okay, you're using your eyes to see, you're hearing yourself write it down. You have to slow down. It takes us longer to write things than to type. Okay, so I encourage students to not do electronic notes because you're typing and there's a lot of learned repetition in your motion when you're typing that you don't think about it. But when you're writing things down, you're having to slow down and think as you write. So writing things down, it's more than just having it to go back and read it. It is a process that slows your brain down and helps you remember it. All right, tip number 4, things that help you be successful. And again, our student panels, you guys, I don't even know why I have to do this presentation sometimes, because our student panel reiterates almost all of my tips to success. It's pretty amazing because I did not coordinate with them to create this presentation. It just goes right along with their sentiments about what it takes to be a successful college student. Get involved in those clubs and activities, student senate, student life, accounting club. All those items are huge. So the more you're involved, the more connected you become and the more comfortable your surroundings are. Be on campus. During this time of COVID, this is a little different. Times are slightly awkward with all the COVID and the masking policies, but you don't have to physically be on campus to connect with campus. So just like today, we're all connecting here today, you are still connecting with campus and connecting with CLC without having to be physically on campus and step foot. So be sure to connect with us, whether it's virtually or if you choose to come on campus and go to class or find your resources that you need. Okay, get to know your faculty and staff and get to know them, send emails. I would have to say the number one thing to student success is that communication. Communicate with your faculty members. we really do want you to succeed. Okay, so it is so important to connect with us. Let us know what's going on. We can't help you and provide help to you unless you let us know what it is that you need. Okay, and we will be there that minute you let us know. We'll support you. Okay. My last tip of the day is self-care. These are very important, you guys. This kind of ties right back into my tip number one, and not to overextend yourself. You need to take care of yourself. Your physical and personal needs have to be met and taken care of first before we can even worry about your academic needs. Okay? So it is so important that you take care of your physical health. You need to make sure to eat a healthy and balanced diet. You need to exercise. Just like one of our students, I think Ben was on, or maybe it was Wade, was talking about exercising and how he made sure to exercise in the morning so that he didn't just kind of shove it off and skip over it. Okay, make sure you don't lose those things. Sleep is huge. Take care of that sleep. You need to schedule in time to sleep. It's a fact of the matter. When we're looking at our schedules, you need to make sure that you have enough time for sleep. Mental health, stress reduction. Going to school can cause lots of stress and anxiety. Work to determine what are your mental health needs? What do you need to do to keep yourself healthy? If you can't focus and concentrate on your studies because your mind is worrying about this, or you're upset about something else, you're not going to be able to focus on your homework or studying for your test. So you need to make sure you're healthy mentally as well. Okay, maybe there's a lot of personal items going on in your life. Okay, you might need to address those so that you can have your focus and have that ability. We are a campus where we embrace, where it's okay to not always be okay. And so make sure that you take care of that mental health portion of your life. We here at CLC take mental health very seriously, and we are very supportive of it. And we want you to know that it's okay to not always be okay all the time. Okay, so let us know what we can do to help with that. We're here to support you. Emotional health, you have to say no sometimes. You need me time. You might have to tell an employer, no, I can't pick up extra shifts. No, I can't work more than 10 hours a week. Okay, make sure that you're okay with saying no to things. Okay. All right, so that is I know we went through it quickly, but a lot of it was review because our panelists were so amazing. So what do you guys think? Eric, I don't know if there's any questions in the chats or things that you want to review, but
yeah,
that's what I have for today.
There was one, Christina.
All right.
There was, Jay had asked, should getting involved, for example, with clubs count towards the 65 hours in the aforementioned rule?
Ooh, good question. So going back to that rule of 65, definitely work that in. Maybe we could adjust, hours per week in class to include your time commitments. Okay, time commitments to things also such as being on student senate or being in a club. Definitely include those. I would consider to lump those into that hours per week in class. I would include additional campus related activities in that as well.
Thank you, Christina. I think that was the only question related to your slides so far. So we're going to launch a poll question based upon what students just learned. So go ahead and start choosing your options there. And also, we're going to raffle off the first prize. So Andrea, can you put me as the spotlight for a second? Okay, everybody thinks it's 65, it looks like.
Woohoo, good job.
Almost. Cool. So first, we're going to do the Beats Solo Wireless 3. And hopefully you guys can see this. The polling might be blocking it a little bit, but we have done our auto generator for a name, and I want to congratulate, hopefully he's still here, Nolan Notch. Nolan, you are the winner of the Beats Solar Wireless 3 headphones. So congratulations. We will be mailing these out. Yeah, we'll be mailing these out. Nolan, are you with us today? You want to say anything? You want an acceptance speech of any sort?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
No way, that's awesome.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was literally just telling my mom, I was like, watch this, I'm gonna win this. 'Cause I win stuff all the time on stuff
Oh, you're
like
just
this.
that lucky guy.
Yeah,
So
I am.
it's not open yet, but I'm gonna open it up for you and try them out, make sure that they work.
All right, go ahead. Sounds good.
All right. Well, we'll mail it out to your mailing address. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Congrats. Okay. So next we are going to go to our next presentation, and that is going to be Mallory. And Mallory is going to talk to us about an important subject. And after that, we will be doing another prize, and it's going to be our JBL Bluetooth speaker. So I'll drop the link in the chat again, just to make sure. If you've already entered once, you don't have to again, but I'll make sure that you've all been covered that way.
Hello and welcome. All right, so I'm gonna get this expanded. So I am Mallory Sheik. I'm the Director of Accessibility Services, and I seen somebody in the chat had asked about getting services for, I think they mentioned dyslexia, but we're definitely the office that you'd want to connect with if you have a diagnosis or a disability of any sort. I'll drop my information in the chat once I'm done too, so you can know how to get in touch with me, okay? So today I get to share with you the mandated Title IX sexual violence prevention training. So this training is required for all new students, and you only ever need to take this training one time in your academic career with Minnesota State colleges and universities. If you get an email after this, I apologize. If you know you've taken it, just you can ignore that email, okay? All right. So we'll start off by first hearing from our president, Dr. Hera Charlier. Oh, sorry, for some reason, it's not letting me advance my slide. There we go. Okay, so here is our welcome.
Hello, I'm Dr. Hera Charlier, President of Central Lakes College. Welcome to the Sexual Violence Prevention Training. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to familiarize yourself with each module of the course. It's so important that we all work together to build a safe and healthy campus free from sexual violence. Within this training, you'll learn basic terms and definitions, the root causes of violence, prevention strategies, and campus, community, and national resources. If at any time you have questions about the training, please contact Mary Sam, Dean of Students, Equity and Inclusion, and Title IX Officer. Thank you.
All right, so Minnesota State 1B1, Equal Opportunity and Non-Discrimination in Employment and Education, states that no person shall be discriminated against in terms and conditions of employment, personal practices, or access to and participation in program services and activities in regards to race, sex, color, creed, religion, age, national origin, disability, sexual orientation, marital status, status in regard to public assistance, and membership or activity in local commissions as defined by law. So if you feel you've been discriminated against, you have the right to file a discrimination complaint via the student complaint process, and you can visit our website for more information. So you may be wondering why you're taking this. Well, the Campus Save Act mandates that colleges and universities educate students, faculty, and staff on the prevention of rape, acquaintance rape, domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. And the Minnesota State Statute 135A15 also mandates that Minnesota colleges and universities provide preventative education, as well as an online reporting system and uniform amnesty policy. So what is sexual violence? Sexual violence is use of sexual actions and or words that are unwanted by and or harmful to another person. Sexual violence, like other forms of violence, is rooted in privilege and oppression, which gives people differing levels of power. So privilege is actions and effects that result in positive but unequal treatment for a selected group. Oppression are actions and effects that result in negative, unequal treatment for all others. Sexual violence is about power, and this happens on two levels, interpersonally and structurally. So interpersonal is when we interact with one another, and structurally is when institutions interact with one another. So government, education systems, religious systems, media create laws, policies, cultural practices, and beliefs that reflect privilege and oppression. Sexual violence is a continuum of conduct that includes sexual harassment, which can be verbal, physical, nonverbal, and online or social media. Sexual assault, sexual exploitation, domestic, dating, and intimate partner violence, stalking, aiding acts of sexual violence. Sexual violence is non-consensual and happens through coercion or force. So what is consent? Consent is an affirmative, informed, conscious, and voluntary agreement between participants to engage in sexual activity. It is saying yes every step of the way, expressed by clear and unambiguous words and or actions. So silence or not saying no is not consent. And consent cannot be given while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And it can be revoked at any time. So yes means yes. So what is coercion? It's a tactic, and it includes subtle pressure, guilt, threats, and the use of alcohol or drugs that's used to persuade, manipulate, intimidate, or force someone to engage in sexual activity against their will. So we're going to watch a little video. I really enjoy this video because it uses humor. Just please know that this is real. So this video exists because people still struggle with this concept.
If you're still struggling with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making them a cup of tea. You say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they go, "Oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you." Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you could make them a cup of tea or not, but be aware they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important part, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you are entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say no thank you, then don't make them tea at all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea. Don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, "Yes, please, that's kind of you." And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone to all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time that it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind. And you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. And if they're unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea. And they can't answer the question, "Do you want tea?" because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea. And they said yes. But in the time it took you to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk, they are now unconscious. You should just put the tea down. Make sure the unconscious person is safe. And this is the important part again. Don't make them drink the tea. They said yes then, sure, but unconscious people don't want tea. If someone said yes to tea, started drinking it, and then passed out before they'd finished it, don't keep on pouring it down their throat. Take the tea away. Make sure they're safe, because unconscious people don't want tea. Trust me on this. If someone said yes to tea around your house last Saturday, that doesn't mean they want you to make them tea all the time. They don't want you to come around to their place unexpectedly and make them tea and force them to drink it going, "But you wanted tea last week." Or to wake up to find you pouring tea down their throat going, "But you wanted tea last night." If you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you're able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand it when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything. And on that note, I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea.
Okay. So how can you prevent sexual violence? There are many factors that perpetuate sexual violence, and current prevention strategies focus on victims, perpetrators, and bystanders, and commonly include risk reduction techniques, increasing protective factors, and bystander-upstander intervention. So risk reduction techniques, these are things that oftentimes are geared towards women, and we get told and have been told for many years, you know, be aware of your surroundings, protect your beverage, know your limits, go out in groups, have a safety plan. Increasing protective factors is really getting at the root of sexual violence, and it's raising knowledge and awareness of sexual violence, improving communication and conflict resolution skills, eliminating gender roles, taking a stand and taking action against sexual violence, and of course, educating others. So bystander upstander intervention is paying attention to situations that may easily escalate. Be mindful, be aware of your surroundings, creating a distraction or intervening. So if you know that somebody, or you see that somebody doesn't seem right, that something's not good, something's not going good, you know, create a distraction. That can be talking to the person directly who might be in trouble and asking them like, hey, do you need help? Maybe you enlist others to support you. Maybe you let your friends know, and then you guys go over there together. And of course, you can always refer to the authorities. So healthy relationships, and this is another key component to getting at the roots of sexual violence. So healthy relationships are built around equality and respect, not power and control. It can be really hard to recognize healthy relationships since many of the messages that we get about relationships are crafted by media that portray violent acts as sexy, possessive behavior as loving someone, and sexual aggression as normal. So this is a TED Talk by Keith Edwards, and Keith does a great job at expanding more about the roots of sexual violence. And he also speaks to the topic as a men's issue. I had the opportunity to see Keith Edwards in person, and he is captivating and his information is transformative. It's a little longer, so just bear with me and enjoy.
Show of hands. How many of you think rape is a bad, terrible thing? How many of you think rapists are bad, terrible people? Yeah. We really want to believe that rapists are deviant people in our normal culture. But what if when we look closely, we discover that most rapists are actually normal in our deviant culture? And what if this didn't absolve them of any responsibility or accountability for their actions, but meant that we all shared in that responsibility, including you, including me? As long as we're only outraged at the rapist and their actions and avoid looking at the roots of sexual violence, those roots of sexual violence will keep producing rapists. And what if this was one of the keys to ending rape? Sexual violence is a broad term that includes stalking, relationship abuse, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and rape. Sexual violence is all too common in our communities in general and college campuses specifically. It impacts victims across identities. For instance, decades of research has shown that 1 in 4 college women report being raped or attempted rape. We also know that those who experience intersecting forms of oppression experience even greater rates of sexual violence, including people of color, gays and lesbians, trans and gender nonconforming folks, and working class people, just to name a few. Sexual violence affects all of us, whether it's happened to us, could happen to us, or could happen to those we care about. If you think that no one you know has ever experienced sexual violence, I assure you they have. They just haven't told you yet. Sexual violence affects people of all genders, but the perpetrators of sexual violence are overwhelmingly men. That's why today, I want to talk about sexual violence as a men's issue. One of the reasons sexual violence has continued to persist in our society is we have generally taken the approach of being reactive and rarely proactive. One example of this is that society has generally framed sexual violence as a women's issue. Now we have to recognize the decades of work that feminist and women's organizations have done to put laws on the books, resources in place, shelters in existence, and to raise awareness. Women deserve a debt of gratitude for starting the movement, laying the foundation, and doing the vast, vast majority of the work today. Examples of these reactive messages directed at women include, don't walk alone at night, don't wear that, go with your friends, come home with your friends, don't drink too much. Now, when these are the only ways we address sexual violence, the real message we're sending is, hey, we know rape's gonna happen here. Here's how you women need to deal with that. We must do better than that. This would be like if we had an epidemic of drunk drivers hitting, injuring, and killing pedestrians. And how we addressed that issue was holding seminars on how to walk across the street. That wouldn't make any sense. That's why we need to add to this reactive approach a proactive approach. And a proactive approach means prevention. It means preventing not just sexual violence from happening to those we love and care about, but preventing sexual violence from happening to anyone, period. If we're going to be serious about prevention, we have to understand who the perpetrators of sexual violence are. Overwhelmingly men. Now, this can be hard for us as men to hear. It can feel like we're all being blamed for the actions of a few. It's certainly how it sounded to me when I first heard it. But it can also be empowering to understand the role that we can play in ending rape. After all, if the overwhelming number of perpetrators are men, then who has more power to prevent and end sexual violence than us? Men. Of the college men who admitted to already having engaged in behaviors that met one of the 10 behaviors that met the legal definition of rape, 84% of them did not believe their actions to be illegal. This means they are not deviant in a normal culture. They're behaving normally given the deviant cultural socialization they have received that has miseducated them about what it means to be a man, what it means to hook up, and what it means to have sex. This means our greatest challenge in addressing sexual violence is not learning, it's unlearning. The difference between what is rape and what is sex is informed consent. And informed consent is simply, at every step of the way, clear, unambiguous affirmative consent that is freely given. Not just every step of the way. How many of you are familiar with the baseball analogy of making out and hooking up? First base, second base, third base? Okay. At every step of the way means we have to get consent to hold hands, get consent to kiss, get consent to take clothes off, get consent to touch, get consent for any kind of sexual activity. In our baseball analogy, that simply means you can't hit a single and stand on third, you're going to be out. Clear, unambiguous affirmative consent. What does that mean? Well, the best analogy is a stoplight. Now, I grew up in a small town of 89 people. We didn't have a stoplight, but I'd heard of them. Let's do this all together now. When you come to a stoplight, red means, green means, and yellow means, that's right, it means go really fast. Excellent. Now, you all know that yellow really means slow down and proceed with caution, but you've also really learned it means go really fast. And we've learned the same things around sexual interactions. We've all heard no means no, and that's true. If someone says no or stop, you don't have consent. But we've also learned if you're unsure, go really fast. We've literally been taught if someone doesn't say anything or it's unsure, it's ambiguous, to go for it before their parents come back, before their friends come back, before they change their mind, before they sober up. That is not consent. Rape is better defined by the absence of a yes than the presence of a no. And unless you have a clear verbal or nonverbal green light, you don't have consent. This consent must also be freely given, which means free from coercion. This definition of consent must also be informed in order to have legal standing. You can't give informed consent if you're underage, developmentally disabled, asleep, drugged, or highly intoxicated. Now, can you have something to drink and still be able to make an informed decision? Absolutely. Can you have so much to drink that you're no longer able to make an informed decision, and no matter what you say, that consent no longer is valid? Absolutely. So where's the line? It's hard to say because alcohol affects all of us in different ways. But if you've ever looked in the eyes of someone who's told you about being sexually assaulted, and they've shared their pain and trauma, all you know, there's a line out there somewhere, and I want nothing to do with it. The reason these definitions of informed consent are so clear and obvious and also at the same time so convoluted is because we are all very well miseducated by the rape culture. The rape culture is a culture that encourages, condones, and teaches sexual violence. The rape culture is so pervasive that we become numb to it. If you've never noticed the rape culture, it's not because it's not there, it's because it is everywhere. I want to talk about just 4 aspects of the rape culture. First, the objectification of women. Images like this Nikon magazine ad are around us all the time, describing, portraying, and discussing women as nothing more than sexual objects. And when we get used to seeing women described this way over and over and over again, sooner or later, for some men, it's going to get a little bit easier to treat women like objects, and that can lead to sexual violence. Second, our culture sends messages that subordinate women's intelligence, capability, and humanity. It's not that we as men are incapable of seeing women in their full humanity, it's that the culture teaches us not to. And we sometimes choose to view some women with less intelligence, capability, and humanity, and that can lead to sexual violence. Third, our culture has very narrow and rigid ways of defining what it means to be a man and how men are allowed to think, feel, and behave, or not think, not feel, and not behave. In my research with college men, they explained to me how clear they were about these external expectations and how none of them felt like they measured up. This left them feeling insecure and desperate to prove their manhood according to these toxic definitions of masculinity that define masculinity as sexual conquest. This can lead to competitive heterosexual sex and demeaning and degrading women, all in an effort to prove their manhood to women, to other men, and to themselves. This can lead to sexual violence. And finally, intersecting forms of oppression. One of the ways these other forms of oppression function is by emasculating men. And when men feel emasculated by oppression, they turn to the same toxic definitions of masculinity that we've all been taught. And that can lead to sexual violence. If we're going to be effective at ending rape, we need to be clear not just how we're socialized and miseducated, but how we can interrupt and challenge these cultural messages. For us as men, it means looking at our own behavior, challenging the behavior of other men, and working together with people of all genders to change those cultural messages. When we understand the roots of sexual violence, we can be empowered to intervene as bystanders in a wide spectrum of behaviors that directly or indirectly lead to sexual violence. We can intervene in the moment when we see two highly intoxicated people leaving together, when we see someone who's not taking the cues that someone else isn't interested, or when we simply see someone in a vulnerable position. We can intervene long before those moments at the root causes of sexual violence that make those moments possible and even acceptable. We can speak up when we hear sexist jokes, when we see objectifying images, or when we hear someone describing their weekend hookup in demeaning and degrading ways. We can speak up as simply as saying, "Seriously? Not cool." Or, "Dude, no." Now, can speaking up be awkward? Absolutely. And it may feel like saying nothing is playing it safe, but saying nothing has its own consequences. What if you found out the next day that what you saw led to someone being sexually assaulted or raped? Wouldn't you do anything to go back in time and say something? If you have come to help me, please go home. But if you have come because your liberation is somehow bound with mine, then we may work together. I've been speaking on college campuses for more than 15 years about what we can do to work toward ending rape. I'm often asked one question: why do you do this? I have three answers: the potential survivors I know, the potential survivors I'll never know, and the men, including myself. The potential survivors I know, I think about my mother, my sister, my partner, our two daughters. But too often we say to college men, think about the four women you know and love, and think about one of them being sexually assaulted. Now, if this helps you connect with this issue for the first time, then that's great. But for me, it sells us as men short. First of all, that message often says, think about your mother, your grandmother, your sister, and your girlfriend. Well, that assumes we all have girlfriends, and that's heterosexism, part of the problem, not part of the solution. Second of all, that message says you as men are incapable of caring about sexual violence unless it happens to one of the four women you know, love, and care about. Well, I know that we as men are perfectly capable of caring about sexual violence, whether it happens to the four women we love and care about, women we've never met before, men and trans folks, people in our communities, or people all around the world. And I do this for the men, including myself, because we are deeply damaged and implicated by the roots of sexual violence, whether we are the rapist or not. 20 years ago, I heard Cornel West speak about race and racism in this country. He ended that talk then by saying he wasn't optimistic, but he was hopeful. He went on to explain that optimism requires evidence of progress, but hope requires no such evidence and is simply a spiritual leap of faith that we can join together, speak out, and make the world a better place for us all. When it comes to sexual violence, I feel exactly the same way. The evidence is not good. The rates of sexual violence have remained the same for the past 40 years, despite so much advocacy and so much work. But I remain so hopeful. I remain hopeful that you'll say something, that you'll speak out, that you can join together, talk to all sorts of other people, and change what happens here in this community. I'm hopeful that we can join with others all across this country and all around the world to get at the roots of sexual violence, prevent sexual violence, and work toward ending rape. So in the words of Cornel West, I'm not optimistic, but I am so hopeful that together we can work toward ending rape. I hope you'll join me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So one key point I feel is super powerful when he talks about how we address sexual violence. So one of his examples was that if we had an epidemic of drunk drivers hitting, injuring, and killing pedestrians, and how we address that issue is by holding seminars on how to walk across the street. And that example has really been. So how do you report sexual violence? Reports of sexual violence can be made online through the CLC website and the Campus Eye. Reports can also be made by using the Campus Eye app, and both of them allow the 24/7 access and the option to report anonymously. So Central Lakes College will investigate all reports of sexual violence, whether they occur on or off the campus, and we have a trained team of sexual violence investigators to do so. So the Uniform Amnesty Policy, a witness or a victim of an incident of sexual assault who reports the incident in good faith shall not be sanctioned by the institution for admitting in the report to a violation of the institution's student conduct policy on the personal use of drugs or alcohol. So basically, if you yourself are out at a party or out with friends and you see or think you see that something has happened and you want to report that and come forward with it in good faith, and you yourself were under the influence of drugs or alcohol, you will not be sanctioned by our institution by doing so. CLC does have a drug and alcohol policy. So the Student Code of Conduct prohibits the use, possession, manufacture, and distribution of substances, as well as being under the influence of drugs and or alcohol on campus, except as expressly permitted by law. CLC is a drug and alcohol-free environment per Minnesota state policy and complies fully with federal, state, and local regulations. And if you'd like more information, we have more information on our website as well. So we do have a confidential employee. Students and employees can speak to Susie Karsnia. All conversations that you have with her are private, and she does not report anything of what you share, unless it's about hurting yourself or someone else. So the effects of sexual violence are wide-ranging, and each person responds and is affected differently. Most people will experience effects that are physical, emotional, social, and or cognitive. And really, you know, if you were sexually had anything, you'd be affected by all of them. So there are some campus and community resources. CLC does have the Title IX office. Mary Sam is our Dean of Students, Equity and Inclusion, and her room is located in the Bridge, E132. There is Essentia Health, which is located in Brainerd, and the Lakewood Health System, which is in Pillager and Staples. There's sexual assault services in town. The We Are Clinic is in town, and we also have a spot for them on campus here as well. There's the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault, and then the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network, and then the Know Your Title IX. And of course, the Campus Eye app that you can download on your phone. So at the end of this, you'll have a couple of questions like you did before that you can answer to try to win some really great prizes that Eric showed. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you have a really great start to your school year. Thank you.
Thanks, Mallory. All right, we're going to launch a poll question again based upon Mallory's presentation. So go ahead and start providing your answers. Oh man, looks like there might be a clear winner here. Oh, nope. Okay. So we have this awesome JBL Charge 4 that we are going to give away next. We've consulted our auto-generating number system, and congratulations to Madison Hull. Madison Hull, are you still with us? You are our winner for the JBL Charge 4.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, you probably already have like 5 of these though, right?
No, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't.
Okay, well, it is waterproof, and I see that you live in Staples, so go ahead and just throw that into the Crowing River while you go tubing over there, and it'll be just fine. All right, so we've got one more prize to give away at the end. So after Liz gives her presentation, then we will have the iPad, and we will that'll be the last thing that we do today. So we'll let Liz kick it off next.
Hi, my name is Liz Tinsley, and I'm going to go over some technology resources for you. So let me just share my screen. And we are going to start at Star ID. Your Star ID, you should have registered. Whoops. On 1 second. Okay, so everyone should have registered with their Star ID for classes. A Star ID is a username with the goal of replacing many logins with just one ID. You'll be using your Star ID for to log into CLC computers, e-services, D2L, CLC email, and Zoom. Your password expires every 180 days. It is very important that you change it when we send you an email. We'll send you a reminder email at 21 days, 14, and at 7 days. Make sure you change that password. If you don't, you'll be locked out of everything. So it's very important that you change it. The website to get to the Star ID website is starid.minstate.edu. Again, starid.minstate.edu. And there's a few applications that we'll be using today, that I'll be showing you today, that has this website on it. So make sure if you need to change it, you're going to click reset password and use one of these. The Tech ID is usually the best one to use. So that is your Star ID. Next, we're going to go over CLC email. To get to your CLC email, well, first off, your CLC email is the official means of communication with the college and your instructors. More than likely, your instructors will not accept an email from your Yahoo or your Gmail account. You're expected to check your CLC email and check it often. You might want to bookmark this page. So you're going to go to Student Quick Links and Student Email. On this page, it tells you how to log in. You're going to use your Star ID at go.minstate.edu. Again, your Star ID at go.minstate.edu and your Star ID password. After you log in, it'll take you to a landing page, and it looks similar to this. On this landing page, you can install Office 365. Office 365 will give you the Office suite, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, the things that you might be using in your classes. So you have up to 10 downloads. Yes, 10. You can install it on 5 PCs or Macs, 5 tablets or smartphones, to total 10. So make sure that you download it on the PC that you're going to be using often or daily. If you click on Outlook, this is going to be your email, and it's going to look similar to this. If you're inside of your email and you want to get to your OneDrive is where you can easily store, create, and share files. It's very similar to Google Docs if you use that in high school. And to get there from your Outlook, or while you're in your email, you can just go to the 9 tiles in the top left-hand corner and click OneDrive. You can create folders, and you can also create Word documents, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and you can do that right inside of your Office 365, right inside your email. Well, not in your email, in your OneDrive. And if you just click on Word, you don't have all the bells and whistles if it was on your computer, but you can use it if you didn't have that available. So that is your OneDrive. It also links to D2L. So if you save anything in your OneDrive, you'll be able to get to it from D2L. Talking about D2L, that's where we're going to go to next. So back to the CLC homepage, Student Quick Links, and D2L Brightspace. You're going to sign in with your Star ID, just your Star ID username, Star ID password. It's going to bring you to the CLC home main page. Now this isn't your course page. This is the CLC home page. This is where we give information to all students that's important, like student resources. We're going to talk about this top line right here. This is where it's going to have your active courses, and your courses are active as of right now. You also have this Bright Start online orientation. It's a free course that's available to you. It's going to help you guide you through the D2L tools, and some of the CLC apps. So, and then at the end of the week, we'll be doing a drawing for a $50 gift certificate, but we'll be having a drawing every day of the week, as long as you have your certificate and you submit it to the folder. So that was the Bright Start online orientation. This is where you can, it's the icon, the mail icon, and you can send instant messages to your instructors, or you can send an email. This next icon is the subscription alerts. So if you subscribe to a discussion, it'll give you an alert to say that somebody posted on it. And this last icon is the updates alerts. So if your instructors posted a new message on the announcements page, you'll get an update on that. Next, we're gonna click on your name and we're gonna go to notifications. Notifications is where you can download the Pulse app. The Pulse app is where you stay up to date on the go. And a few of the key points about the Pulse app: students can see important deadlines, anticipate busy times, receive the latest grades or news, and get real-time alerts. You can also set up your phone number to get mobile alerts, to get emails or text messages. I'm sorry. Text messages, maybe you want to just get the announcements update. Maybe your instructor might be canceling class and you want to get that update. So you can sign up for text messages or emails. And that is under your name and then notifications. If I click on this icon, it's going to go back to the CLC home main page. And I want to show you down on this lower level, under resources, you're going to see access to Who Knew It. Who Knew It Learning has over 5,000 or 50,000 short videos on training. Doesn't have to be anything CLC related, but if you want to know how to do something like merge an Excel document or something like that, you can find that and it'll give you a short tutorial on it. The CLC calendar isn't updated yet, but it will be usually within the second week of the semester. And that's along with the CLC tutor or the tutor schedule. Tutor.com, some of your instructors ask you to submit papers to tutor.com, and tutor.com will tell you what you did correctly and maybe give you some points to what you can do to improve your paper. That is all under resources. Under this announcements page, we have the IT help desk button. If you click that button during the hours of operation, you'll get in touch with myself or somebody from the help desk. It might be a work study, and if they can't answer your questions, they'll find somebody that can answer your questions. But that is the IT help desk. If you scroll down a little bit more, you can make an appointment with your advisor, a counselor, Brainerd Connect coach, or the tutors. If you need to send us an email, my email is right here, and this is our phone number to get help. So now if we go into the Bright Start online orientation, I'm going to talk a little bit about the tools. Now this is the course homepage. And this is the announcements. And again, announcements are shown from your instructor. They send, usually they put messages there, course information, and other important announcements. If you go under materials and content, content is where students can find materials to complete, required activities, monitor your completion, progress, and topics contained within the course material. So that is content. Under the communications, you will find announcements again, or you can go to discussions. Discussions is a tool that helps collaborate with other classmates. You can post, read, and reply to threads, and this is where you would subscribe. So if I clicked on the practice forum, there is a subscribe button right there. And then I would get the alerts up here. So that's going to be under discussions. You can email from here also. Under assessment, you're going to go to assignments. And assignments is where students use to give your instructors your papers. Instead of handing them in like you would in class, this is where you would put it. It used to be called the Dropbox, but now it's called the assignment folder. And this is where you would put the assignment. You would just click on this and add your Word document or whatever is asked of you. That's assignments. Under assessment and then grades. Grades is where you're going to find any grades that you, if you completed an assignment and your instructor gave you a grade on it. That would be under grades. Under quizzes, there is a couple practice quizzes in this class because it's the Bright Start Online Orientation. If you click on it, you can start a quiz. And that's what you're to do in your classes. And this is just a few, just touching base on a few of the tools inside of D12. And then class list is also under here. That would give you a list of all your classmates. And if you needed to email somebody, you can do that. You would just click class list, select the student, and then email. Next, we are going to go back to the CLC homepage. And we are going to go to Student Quick Links and e-services. E-services is where you register for classes, you modified your course schedule, view financial aid status, account balances, and viewed your final grade. Your final grade will not be posted in D12. Your final calculated grade will be inside of e-services. So the course is closed, you'll get those grades inside of e-services. A few other things is Zoom. If your instructors use Zoom, you will find that off of the D12, the announcements page. Usually they have a link if they have a Zoom meeting, or if it's HighFlex or anything like that, they're gonna have a Zoom link, and it should be inside the announcements or inside the content area. To log into Zoom, you're going to go to zoom.minstate.us. And this information is also inside the Bright Start Online Orientation. There's some information about Zoom, just in case you have any questions regarding that. And it's going to be under additional resources, I believe. How to join a Zoom meeting and get started. But you would use your Star ID and your Star ID password. And the last thing that I need to go over is printing. You have $15 in your account. Each time you print, it costs 3 cents per page and 12 cents per color page. On the Brainerd campus, you can print in color in the Computer Commons. And you can also scan in the Computer Commons or in the library. On the Staples campus, you can print in the Learning Commons. And I believe that's it. I tried to go fast, so we were getting done early, Eric.
You did a great job, Liz.
Thanks.
So I believe we have a poll question that will launch our final one. As you guys fill that out, I will make sure we've got a winner selected here for the iPad. Bear with me for 1 second.
We have good listeners on today.
Yeah. All right, just tabulating our winner for the iPad.
I wish I had a drum roll sound effect.
Right. Next year. Probably be in person, but if not. All right, everyone, for the most part, got that right. Great job. Okay, we're at the end. We have the iPad, and congratulations to our winner. Hopefully they're still on. India Hiltner. India Hiltner, the computer chose you to be today's winner. Are you with us, India? Well, maybe they're there, maybe they're not. But that is our winner, and that person will get sent out this awesome new iPad. That's the end of today's new student orientation. I am so thankful for each of you and your parents that were able to come to this. We are so excited to have you on campus and online this semester. It's going to be a great semester. And I'll stay on for a few minutes if anybody wants to stick around and ask questions. But thank you again for coming. The floodgates have opened. They're all just watch that participant list tick down.
Nice job, Eric.
Oh, yeah,
It went
thank
down
you.
quick.
Thanks to each of you. You guys did a great job. I mean, this was certainly new, but I think effective given our options. And the numbers weren't much different than in person.